in the middle of this, in politics, in faith, and how do you keep the humanity there? How do you keep the humanity front and center here as this turns into politics? Apologies, I asked that big question. Senator Jeff Merkley here, who is in Texas, has just toured a facility. Let's take a listen to what he has to say.
Parents, when it's totally unnecessary during this time when they're waiting for their asylum hearing. We're going to spend 2 minutes apiece for each member to be able to have a say, and if we keep to that time schedule, we can take a couple comments afterwards. So, first I'm going to turn it over to Senator Chris Van Hollen, and then he'll pass it on to our members from the House. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Merkley, for bringing this together. We just came from a processing center. We were able to talk to a mom. Her daughter had been separated from her in that processing center. She's being charged with illegal entry, and under the new policy, they will deliberately separate moms and dads from their sons and daughters. This is a choice that the Trump administration has made. It is inhumane, it is cruel, and we are calling on President Trump, who has total control over this decision, today on Father's Day, to end the policy and allow these families to reunite. I'm now pleased to turn it over to Sheila. Oh, sorry. Either one of you. One of the Texans.
Thank you all for being here. It's a pleasure to have you. It's important to bring issues not only to our region to notice, but also to the rest of the country. So we're happy to have senators and members of Congress from around our country seeing the injustices that are happening here along the border. And I think we're seeing a symptom of issues that we've ignored in Central America for years and Latin America. So hopefully we can continue working on this. The separation of families needs to stop. That's not the America the world knows and loves. We need to take very important attention to this issue across both the Senate and Congress. And I appreciate the support that we're getting from around the country and members from around the country to be here with us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Sheila Jackson Lee, Congresswoman.
Yes, hi. Senator Merkel, thank you very much for bringing us together. Sheila Jackson Lee on the Homeland Security Committee. Let me just quickly say that when you have a mother tell you directly that she's in fear that she will never see her child again, and when the United Nations Human Rights Commission indicates to the Trump administration you're violating human rights, then you know that what we are saying today is, President Trump, cease and desist, because you are moving the arc of justice to the heap of despair and the trash heap of injustice.
Thank you very much.
It's a pretty grim sight to see really good, young, healthy-looking kids with so much fear, so much anxiety, so much wonder of what is next. They don't know where their parents are. They don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. They don't know if there's a future. And what has happened in this country is a deliberate decision by the President of the United States is to make it a crime for a mother and a father and a son and daughter to make a treacherous journey to knock on the door of freedom and be put in handcuffs. And that is what's happened. And after the parents are in handcuffs, their kids are taken away to parts unknown. That is appalling, and it is un-American.
David Cicilline from Rhode Island. I want to thank Senator Merkley for bringing us together. We just visited the processing center, and we're here to say loudly and clearly that our great country has had a wonderful tradition of welcoming people who are fleeing violence and persecution, and we do that through the asylum process. This new policy of the Trump administration, developed by the Trump administration, by the Attorney General of the United States with the approval of the President of the United States, is undermining the founding values of this country, ripping children literally from the arms of their mothers in order to try to prevent people from coming to America. This is not what our country stands for. We are here today to bring attention to this, to call on the Trump administration to stop the zero-tolerance policy, which makes zero sense. And we saw the fear in the eyes of these children who are wondering when they will see their parents ever again. It's a disgrace, it's shameful, and it's un-American.
Hi, I'm Mark Cocan from Wisconsin. I left the detention center with more questions than answers. When I asked how long someone would have access to their children, they couldn't give me a direct answer. When I said 15 minutes, they said maybe. I think I got the answer. When we asked people how long would someone be in the facility, they said no more than 72 hours. They tried for 12. I talked to someone for 2 days, someone for 4, someone for 5, someone for 7, and someone for 10 days who've been in there. So unfortunately, I leave with more questions and more concern that this policy is not working and it's disastrous to the families who are involved.
Okay, we have a couple minutes. We can take a question or two.
Administration, have you spoken with the president? Any of you spoken with the president, or any of you talked to members of the administration about this?
Several of us have spoken to the administration. I've spoken directly to Jeff Sessions about this policy. We hope that we can ask the president to come and speak with us to talk to him directly. So let's see if he's willing to meet with us. Who else? Yes, ma'am.
I spoke with Representative Gomer yesterday. The kids did really well. They were getting better food, better education, and a better environment, safer environment than they had at home. And if Gary Davis' well-being, that more children come across in order to get a place in a detention center. What do you have to say to that?
Let's be very clear. The American Academy of Pediatricians have made it. They said this is irreparable harm when people are fleeing persecution abroad, when they go through the hurdles of arriving to the United States of America, when they come here and all they have is the fact that they are with their parent, holding their hand side by side with them, and then they are torn away from their parent. They lose all sense of security. This is deep trauma for children, a huge, huge infliction on parents as well. There is no way that family separation policy is good for anyone. The administration says they want to do this as to send a message to families overseas about how you'll be treated if you come to the United States of America. Well, we used to have a message about how you'll be treated. It was called Lady Liberty, who held up a torch, who said, give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. But now there is a new message from the Trump administration. And that new message is, if you come here fleeing persecution, we will greet you on our shore, we will handcuff you, we will treat you as a criminal, we will take away your children, and you will never know when you might possibly see them again. This is absolutely un-American and wrong. We must end this policy of family separation.
Unless you're from Norway. They will not separate asylum seekers and have not with their children. You have evidence otherwise, because they expressly told us unless they suspected the child trafficker, they have not done it.
Yeah, so here's what we're seeing. We're seeing that in international law and American law, you can seek asylum at a point of entry. It's completely legal to do so. What this administration has been doing is making it extraordinarily difficult for anyone to come into the port of entry seeking asylum. People have been out on the no man's land between Mexico and the United States for sometimes days at a time, in some cases 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 days out in the heat, being rejected to come in. That leaves the option of coming across the border, where the administration says even if you seek asylum, you are a criminal, you came across the border outside of point, we will arrest you and treat you as a criminal and take your children away. This is a complete strategy of injuring families seeking asylum to send a message to folks overseas, and under no moral code and under no religious tradition is this acceptable, and it has to end. Yes, sir.
Here a week ago, you were a week ago and denied access to the facility in Casa Padre. What's changed?
Yeah, so I was here 2 Sundays ago, and I was denied entry in Brownsville, and it helps when you come with reinforcements. So we're happy to have our whole team here. As a result of that visit 2 weeks ago, the press haven't been admitted to go through, and you may see in this facility a very clean facility, and we're going to hold a press availability afterwards. But here's the thing. Those kids inside who have been separated from their parents are already being traumatized. It doesn't matter whether the floor is swept and the bed sheets tucked in tight. What matters is the kids have been separated unnecessarily from their parents as they await an asylum hearing. Yes. Oh, you asked one. Let's go to somebody else. Oh, okay.
Do you have any confirmation or information about how the reunification process happens? Is there a process?
Let me see if anybody else wants to not mention about that reunification, or should I keep going? So we are told inside here, oh, it's just a very short period. They go to a judge, and then they're reunified. That's not what we're hearing from the advocates for refugees, from the ACLU, from anyone else. Because after people are sentenced for crossing the border, going into criminal facilities, and the kids are being shipped off to who knows where. And it's also another thing we're told inside is how easy it is for parents to be in contact with their children. Yesterday I met with 5 families in Oregon, 5 fathers who have been separated from their children. It's incredibly difficult for them to find out where their children are and to be able to talk to them. So the reality is it's very hard for the parents to know where their kids are and be able to connect with them.
And we were not permitted to speak directly, except in one case, to the people inside. So that's the question we have on our mind.
And we had the opportunity to speak to a mother as one example whose child was separated from her. She has no idea where she is. She's asked several times for information about that and has not been provided. She's been here 2 days. Think of the barbaric nature of this. To separate a child from her mother and then deny the mother information about where her child is. This violates basic international human rights standards, as Sheila Jackson Lee says, and
Let me just add. Let me just add to the drama of this and to the horror of this. ICE takes over on these children internally and then transfer them to HHS, which may in fact locate the children as far away as New York or Chicago and beyond. This parent that we spoke to said that she's in fear of never seeing her child or not knowing where her child might be. I see a youngster sitting right here, and I would imagine that any mother or parent or father on Father's Day not knowing where your child would be, I can only say to you, this is unmerciful, and I would ask General Sessions not to quote scriptures that deal with slavery, and to realize that when you take children away and separate families, you are doing the complete opposite of the values of this nation, both in terms of democracy and human rights. It must stop now. We love our children.
Hey, we got 3 minutes. Padilla did not answer the question of whether he would follow a federal judge's order. Whether or not he would follow a judge's order and not separate minors and defendants from their children because they would be back to detention within 48 hours.
I'm watching a press conference there taking place in McAllen, Texas, outside a Customs and Border Enforcement facility. We see members of the House, members of the Senate, Democratic members.